Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be exploring Brookgreen Gardens in Myrtle's Inlet, South Carolina. Brookgreen Gardens is a 9,127 acre property, complete with fountains, botanical gardens, and over 2,000 sculptures created by 430 artists. It also has a zoo, complete with birds and eagles and wolves and otters. So stay tuned, that'll be later in the video. And as always, I have timestamps in the video so you can fast forward anywhere you want. We'll start here by mentioning the founders of the gardens, Archer and Anna Huntington, who began these gardens in the 1930s. As always, if you enjoy this video, hit the like button and subscribe. So we're going to start out here by showing a map, and this place is absolutely huge. Being over 9,000 acres, you can easily spend all day here. It's located about a half an hour south of Myrtle Beach in Myrtle's Inlet, so it's not too far of a drive from the city center of Myrtle Beach if you're staying there. The hours here are from 9:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. And when you buy a ticket, it's $22 for adults and $12 for children, and your tickets are good for 7 consecutive days. So I know when I was here in October of 2024, visited here, spent maybe about 4 hours here the first day, and then came back the next day and probably spent another 2 or 3 hours walking around. I didn't take any video on the second day, but I captured pretty much probably 80% of this place on the first day here in this video. So I'll give a little bit more of a history of this place, and then probably just continue on without a whole lot of commentary in this video, but I'll break in from time to time to talk about some things. So like I mentioned, the history of this place, it was began by Archer and Anna Huntington in the 1930s. Archer Huntington was a pretty wealthy guy at the time. I also have another video coming up where I explore their house in Huntington State Park in South Carolina, which is actually located right across the street pretty much of these huge gardens. Anna Huntington was a sculptor, and many of the sculptures that you'll see throughout the gardens here were created by her. There's also several exhibits that contain hundreds of others of sculptures created by other people. Now, when I was here, they were also doing construction on a new conservatory and rain gardens that were slated to open late in 2025 or early 2026. So you'll see in some parts of the videos, some of the fountains are not on, and several of the fountains I didn't take video of just because they had been drained due to the construction that was going on. You'll see that kind of in the middle part of the video. But here in the beginning, many of the fountains were on and working. With this place being over 9,000 acres, I'm gonna guess I probably walked around 3 or 4 miles at least when I visited here. So plan on bringing your walking shoes when you come here to visit. I'd say for a $22 entry fee per person, it was pretty good value. especially because you can leave and come back anytime within 7 days, as many times as you want. Uh, so you can make this a half-day event or an all-day event if you want. Like you can see here, this fountain unfortunately was not on. I didn't see any alligators or snakes while I was here during my visit, but I've heard from other people that they are present from time to time on the property. Now, apparently, they also have a very large light display here during Christmas, so they were already beginning to set that up while I was here. So you'll see from time to time some Christmas lights around the trees. I will say this place is pretty wheelchair accessible, so if you're in a wheelchair, you can probably tour the majority of these gardens. And they also do not allow pets, so if you have a dog, they are not allowed in with you to tour the facility, unless it is a service animal. As you can see here, this sculpture was actually created by Anna Huntington, part of the founder of these gardens. I thought this was pretty neat. The sidewalk actually has oyster shells pressed into it. Apparently, the Huntingtons were large connoisseurs of oysters. Now, this is the one of many sculpture pavilions here. We'll come back and tour this in more detail a little later in the video. Again, unfortunately, this was another fountain that was not on due to the construction. I like to come back here and visit another time. Hopefully, more of the fountains will be working after their completion of construction of the new conservatory late in 25 or early in 26. See a lot of these live oak trees here. These oak trees are over 250 years old. I thought this was pretty neat when we came up on this fountain. There was a small crane over here doing some fishing, eating some small minnows out of the fountain. All right, now we're going to tour through the Brown Sculpture Court, and half of the sculpture court contains sculptures of people, and the other half of the court contains sculptures of animals. I really like this sculpture of the duck-billed platypus made out of marble. I thought the coloring was pretty neat. I can't believe it only got a silver medal. I would have gave it a gold medal. Now, as you're walking through the gardens, there are several restaurants and restroom facilities on site, as well as plenty of places to fill up water bottles. which I can imagine being here in the summer. That's pretty handy. Even though when I was here in October, it was probably in the low 80s, so I definitely filled up my water bottle a few times there. There are some more indoor museums. Um, they do not allow food or open containers that you drink out of, but if you have a water bottle with a cap on it, uh, they do allow those inside the some of the other indoor museums on the property. I didn't take any videos of those, but I went back on the second day and viewed those. This is actually a fountain around one of the restaurants on site. I didn't eat here, but they do have two restaurants, two small cafes on site. This is a large sculpture of Pegasus, but again, unfortunately, the fountain wasn't on due to the construction, which we'll see that shortly here in the video, the construction that was going on nearby. Again, here's one of the many oak trees that are on property that are well over 250 years old. They were planted when this was originally just a rice plantation. All right, well, what we are entering here is called the Palmetto Garden, and you'll see in the background where they are doing the construction of the new There we get another look of what is going to be the new conservatory gardens and welcome center. Again, what I read, it's supposed to open in either late 2025 or early 2026. And just like that, I've circled all the way back around to the first sculpture that we saw in the beginning of the video, which was called the Visionaries. It's pretty easy to get turned around in this place just because it's so large. You know, they do give you a map when you go in, and you definitely need it. Again, here I'll get a look over top the construction fence to see a little bit of what the new conservatory is going to look like. So moving along here, we're going to walk through some of the arboretum, moving out of the gardens and start walking through the arboretum on our way over to the Low Country Zoo. What we just walked past there was called the St. James Triad. And now we're moving on to the Gazelle Fountain. And this is a large statue of Don Quixote. Again, this is another project that was created by one of the founders of the gardens. And of course, if you have Don Quixote, you gotta have his companion Sancho Panza. This is a garden and sculpture of a heron, a grouse, and a loon. Now we're making our way away from the gardens and the arboretum, getting closer to the zoo. Along the way, you'll walk through um, some tales and informational items about the low country of South Carolina. This is a huge cypress tree log. All right, now we've made our way into the zoo portion on property. This is the cypress aviary swamp. They have two sets of doors that you go through. Um, they like you to close one door before you open the other. That way the birds don't get out. Now, I was here on October 10th, 2024, on a Thursday. Uh, Overall, the place was not too crowded. I can imagine this place probably gets a lot more crowded on the weekends. With it being over 9,000 acres, though, hopefully people space out pretty well. Um, when we got through the zoo portion here, I mean, we were some of the only people walking through that day, which was pretty nice. Next, we're going to see river otters. Apparently, sometimes they're located inside this building. They weren't in the building the day I was there. Instead, they were outside, and we'll see them here in a second. Now, when we first spotted them, they were swimming in the back part of their enclosure there, but once they saw us, they soon started they swam up, and we got a much closer view of them here in a few minutes. Here comes one. He's under the bridge. Oh, there he goes. There he comes. He's swimming right by. There he goes. Next, we'll take a look at the birds of prey aviary. This is a bald eagle. Before we got here, we walked by a fox enclosure. However, we didn't see any foxes while we were there, so I didn't film any of that. All the birds that you'll see in the next series of shots were rescued, so they cannot be released back into the wild. Rescued and rehabilitated. All these birds had at one time sustained some sort of injury, so they rehabilitated them back to good health, but due to their injuries that they had received in the wild, they were not able to be released. So they are kept here in their enclosures. It was pretty difficult to get a good clear shot. A lot of the owls with their through the netting and the screen, so these shots are a little off, but you can get an okay view of the owls. This was an enclosure for alligators, and there is one alligator in this shot. He's way in the back of the lake. It's very difficult to see. There's also a goat. I don't know why the goat is there. So next we'll move on to the waterfowl aviary, which is mostly a bunch of different types of ducks.
do a good touring the length of to be together.
This is the red wolf habitat. Now, when I took the video here, unfortunately, the wolves were not out in their enclosure. They were inside their house that you see over there to the left. When I came back on the second day, though, I didn't have my camera with me, but there were 3 wolves in the enclosure on the second day. And one of the last things here, under this awning in the wolf exhibit, there's a big bee exhibit, which is pretty neat. But that's going to pretty much wrap up this video. Hope you enjoyed this walkthrough of Brookgreen Gardens, south of Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. My next video, we'll go to Huntington Beach State Park and explore the home of the Huntingtons, which was actually a large castle. So stay tuned for that. That'll be coming out next few weeks. Thanks for watching.